guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing scam slimes versus the slimes they advertise. If you aren't familiar with the concept, it's really simple. I just look for really low rated shops, ones with little sales or no sales at all, and then I buy a ton of slimes but also buy the products they're advertising and compare the two. First up we have Slime OG and their kawaii cake. This is one of my favourite slimes I've ever purchased from them. It has a gorgeous scent of I think cotton candy and icing. It's so good, so sweet, and it's really fun as well because it kind of has that DIY aspect because it comes with clay on top and then you mix it into the white layer underneath to create something new. The scam slime was actually quite scary for me because you couldn't see in the containers. I wasn't sure what to expect. Thankfully it actually was quite a good replica slime. The top was a bit dried out, but I think that was more down to the container than the actual slime, and underneath we did have a slushie, so I took it out after seeing that it was genuinely very similar, and I found that the actual kawaii cake was very smooth, mixed in very easily, it had no fallout, but the scam slime was kind of dry, so when you mixed it in it was very hard at first, and also the beads fell out a lot, so there was a lot of fallout with this. But weirdly enough, this clay actually melted down the slime rather than making it tougher like normal clays would, so maybe it was just a different brand of clay than I'm familiar with and it was actually meant to be this dry at first. Hawaiian bread scam slime actually made me laugh a lot. It reminded me a lot of peanut butter on the outside of the jar, and then on the inside it was actually a butter slime. The genuine slime was a thick and glossy slime. It also held pokes in shape so well. Normally when you poke, the slime kind of sinks into it very quickly, but with this you could hold the shape very well. Whereas the scam slime was kind of a different story, I guess because it's a different texture as well. But like you can see here, this is so thick. It's also so stretchy and just really fun to play with. Whereas the scam slime, it was genuinely a very gorgeous texture. Again, it was quite velvety. I think they're probably using the same clay as before. This wasn't wet at all. It inflated a lot, but it wasn't scented, and it also didn't hold the shape like the genuine product, and it was a bit darker in colour. The Hawaiian bread actually turned into this gorgeous airy loaf once it was inflated, and this smelled so good, like sweetbread. When I saw SoCal Sunset on Instagram, I knew I had to get it. I loved the side effect of the slime, being able to see all the layers. So this coming in a black container actually kind of ruined this for me, but it was also a clay texture, which was so far off what the genuine texture was. Like you can see here, it kind of has this wet residue on the top. That's quite natural just because it's quite a wet snow slime, but it's very nice. It's almost a cloud texture with clear, but it's not. And then the scam slime was actually so gorgeous when you took it out. It definitely did have a marble effect, loads of different colours, and I think it had a layer of jelly on the bottom, but I really liked this. I love the colours in this. It was also really stretchy, it smelled good. This is the only one from them that was actually scented, but it was worth it, and the clay was definitely different from the previous ones, so it kind of came out rubbery, but the SoCal Sunset was gorgeous. This was an icy texture, all the colours mixed together to make a green colour at first, but then after letting it sit, it kind of turns into a black colour, so I guess it reflects the sunset. And this is scented like Gushers, aka tropical candy. Next up we have Sambal slimes, and their slimes are so intricate that when I saw a scam version of this, I had to try it. I was just really curious to see what they would send. Obviously Sambal sent a ton of stuff, including a miso soup as well as all the sushi condiments, whereas the scam slime sent very well packaged slimes, but just with a lot less. And I guess maybe it's reflective on the price because this was very cheap as well. But like you can see here, in the actual slime we have really detailed sushi pieces. I think she's actually painted on the sushi piece piece on the left, and then the right piece you actually build yourself. I thought it was so creative how she used black tape to kind of mask it as seaweed as well, because this is so clever because you can't put food on slime. The scam slime was a different texture as well. For this one, it was a clay one, so it had like a butter slime that you put on top and then clay underneath. But this one was very nice. It was clay all the way throughout, apart from on the top layer where you just put a sushi glaze on it and then you mixed it all up. I thought this is also really nice to mix in because it stayed kind of in place for a while, so it meant that, you know, her beautiful artwork did stay there for a bit longer. The scam slime was a different story just because it was very easy to mix together, so when I did mix it together, it mixed very quickly. The next scam slime really impressed me. They tried very hard. Obviously it wasn't as good as the original because look at it, it's just so intricate, so beautiful. This is based off the chocolate lake in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and they've given you basically all of the chocolate to put in the lake, and then for the rest of it you just build your own little city. This one, the scam one, does have a very similar DIY aspect, but for the land, I'm pretty sure they gave me the Potcha Slime's molten cookie dough as like the land piece, so I don't know if they had that and they just took a tiny bit out, but this was exactly the same texture, exactly the same scent, but it was so much wetter, which makes me think it was played with, and also this was such an uncomplimentary texture, whereas the Wonka's Chocolate Factory had snow, I'm pretty sure, as the grass, and then loads of slime and also some clay, which ends up making a frosting texture, which is so nice, also so soft and smooth, whereas the scam slime was just it was so weird. I thought the grass was like snow, it looked like snow, and it was also wet, but it was just so gritty along with the slimes that they had added in, so the whole texture was just really nasty, and I would have preferred it all to stay separate. I bought so many slime obsidian replicas that I even have another one for the next video if I do another one of these, and this one is one of my favorites actually because it had such a random start off. So this is what it's meant to look like, this is what it came as, and the interesting thing about the genuine product is that it's a cloud cream, so it's kind of like a mix of a butter slime and also a cloud slime. But with the caramel swirl in there, it does add a clear aspect as well. And like you can see, this is so doughy. It's also like, it feels so buttery in texture. Whereas the scam slime was really weird because it felt overactivated when you pulled it, like you tugged at it, it would rip. But then when you poked it, it just felt like putty almost. So when you were mixing the clay and the thing together, you just didn't know what to expect. Whereas with the classic caramel sundae, it was just mixing together really beautifully. Like you can see here, it's just so smooth, so soft. This also had a gorgeous smell of caramel, whereas this one kind of had like a burnt caramel scent, I would say, but like you can see here, when I'm stretching it out, it just wasn't cooperating. It's also very cold, as you can probably tell by me wearing my dressing gown in every single one of these clips, but it's very cold, so I did let it sit in a hot room, and then once I mixed it up, it was gorgeous. Honeydew jelly was such a random one. I thought this would be really good because I think I've received a jelly slime from them before in place of something else. I can't remember exactly, but this one was what it was meant to look like. It was meant to be super clear, juicy, really soft, and just gorgeous to play with. And his jelly slimes are like unmatched, so I knew it wouldn't be as good, but I didn't expect it to come out like this. It literally looked like it was growing like moss at the top, and then underneath it had like a clear layer. And in retrospect, I think they have a lot of cloud slime because they had cloud slime at the top and then clear underneath, which does make jelly slime. in all fairness, this method did work. Like, when I was mixing up, I was kind of like, what is this going to give me? And it kind of gave me an icy jelly hybrid. It wasn't quite an icy, but it wasn't quite a jelly. Last but not least, I thought I would end on something that was very hard to mix up, and given that I'm actually quite good at making slimes, I knew that they wouldn't mess up this butter slime. They use a different type of clay. They use this soft polymer clay, I believe it's called, whereas I think Jacob uses a mix of that and also Daiso clay, but like you can see here, this just has a much smoother texture. It's not as wet, it's quite matte, and it comes in a duotone colour. And I was really impressed with this because this lasted during shipping as well. Sometimes with tossing and turning it doesn't. This one came as a block colour, but like you can see, it's beautiful. It's a really pinky purple, really nice. It fluffs up really well, and I genuinely really loved it, as much as I love Jacob's, but it's a different type of slime, I would say. This one is more of like a butter slime, the Taro Whip Original. This also smells like taro, whereas the other one just smelled like, kind of like sweet pea, I would say, and like you can see here, this one's more like doughy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week.